Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Fair enough. It is always my privilege to stand in this House and add my comments to the debate, and I am very pleased to do it today and speak on Bill 89, an act to amend the Election Act with respect to the recall of members of the Legislative Assembly. Mr. Speaker, I'm always glad to be able to speak on the topic of democracy. Part of the strength of our democracy is in the historical nature of it. We shouldn't be tinkering with it each and every single day. We have checks and balances that hold us accountable between elections. Some of those checks and balances are official, and some of them happen in the court of public opinion and in our constituencies. In fact, sometimes they happen in our parking lots or on Twitter. When we see examples of our leaders making mistakes, doing damage, or not doing enough, there are fortunately a number of mechanisms to ensure that they are held to account. For example, we have the Office of the Integrity Commissioner of Ontario, the Financial Accountability Officer, Elections Ontario, and of course, the ballot box. Just because someone is a sitting member does not mean that they are beyond reach or above reproach. And thankfully, voters aren't shy across the province. They will offer their opinions through petitions, protests, campaigns, media use, and of course, casting their ballots. Mr. Speaker, I stand here as still a relatively newly elected member of this legislature, one who is still humbled by the support in the last provincial election, and one who is proud to represent my community of Oshawa. I come from a background of progressive ideals, and I intend to fight to make the world better, starting for those people in Oshawa. I want to work to make it better in the way my neighbours and constituents need, deserve, and usually want. I say usually, Mr. Speaker, because there are so many important issues facing people across the province. And we stand in this House, regardless of party, and stand up for what we believe in. Hopefully, we stand on principle. People around this House stand here and bring their backgrounds, their expertise, and the voices of their communities with them. We balance what is popular with what needs to be done. Unpopular change sometimes has to happen for the greater good. We still see it, Mr. Speaker, all around the world. We see conflicts and struggle when it comes to human rights. We see discrimination on the basis of race, gender.
There's about 20 conversations going on in the room, and it's very difficult for me to hear the speaker. So if I could ask everybody to quiet down, or if you really want to talk, if you could take it outside. Thank you. Continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate that. We see conflicts and struggle when it comes to human rights. As I was saying, we see discrimination on the basis of race, gender, age, socioeconomic situation. We see injustice and persecution across the globe, and we see issues in our ridings and in our province every day. Mr. Speaker, I believe that it takes courage to take risks. We should not be adding a layer of threat to our democratic system. Members might shy away from taking risks or strong positions because they aren't popular. If detractors held more sway, where would we be when it comes to civil rights, to women's rights, to LGBTQ rights? Would women still be tucked quietly at home? Would we have women yet in the legislature? And would I even get the chance to stand here and defend my right to even be here? These are interesting questions, Mr. Speaker. Agnes MacPhail, I know you've heard of her, the first woman to be elected to the House of Commons and one of the first two elected to serve this legislature, fought for unpopular causes: equality, pensions for seniors, workers' rights, and fairer conditions for those in our jails. They were not popular issues back then, and perhaps they're not popular issues now either. Agnes MacPhail said that when it comes to doing what needs to be done, quote, never apologize, never explain, just get the thing done and let them howl, end quote. Mr. Speaker, I would be willing to bet that the Conservatives would have unelected her if they had had the means back then. Mr. Speaker, those who elect us deserve access to us and must be able to hold us to account. Absolutely. And I wish I had more time to talk about ways this government should be held to account. I appreciate the frustration felt by many Ontarians who feel duped and double-crossed by this government, and the frustration of feeling helpless to stop them. But the good news, Mr. Speaker, is that we aren't helpless. We won't allow individual members or whole caucuses of them to wreak havoc on our society and our public systems. We will work together to hold the government to account, not just slap another reactionary short-term measure on the pile that will undermine our democracy and growth in the long run. We have work to do, Mr. Speaker, so let's get at it. Thank you.